The good news is you can still see your shoelaces if you bend over to tie your shoes, so it's not quite that bad. But the fog definitely rolling in, and as we take a look at a little bit of what we call the weather could be verse, who says our winter weather's the same day after day after day? We've got cloudy and foggy, cloudy and rainy, and cloudy, cold, snowy, and gray. Now, if that's not variety, I don't know what is. What they all have in common, of course, is the dreaded permacloud, which sticks around until about May. But yeah, it's pretty bleak out there this morning. Another piece of good news is that we will warm up above freezing today. Bad news as we go back down. But you can see this is the view from the south side of town, high up on our transmitter tower. And from that point of view, we're at 30 degrees this morning, and you can really see the problem with the pea soup up there. Now, it's a little thicker the higher you get. At ground level, as you saw, it's not quite as dense, but at 30 degrees, the problem is at the surface, any of the moisture that's in this cloud will freeze on contact with the ground, and that will create that ice fog, as we call it, very slick spots in the roadways. In downtown South Bend this morning, you see the traffic is moving along pretty well. Keep in mind that the main streets are all treated, so the salt does work when the temperature is warm enough, and it is 30 degrees in downtown South Bend. But the side streets, subdivision streets, those are kind of a pain right now and very slick, and we did have 2.5 inches of snow overnight. So as you take a look at our live view up in St. Joe, Michigan, very close to the freezing mark, 31 degrees right now. But again, it could have issues. It just takes a degree one way or the other for that ice to form on the roadways, especially on the untreated roads. Here's your visibility issue, and again, you can kind of see these areas out to the southeast in particular with very low visibilities, and the city of South Bend, where visibility is only about a mile right now, a little bit better up toward the lakeshore. But we will continue to see this fog develop as we get our temperatures warming up heading into the afternoon. Live First Alert radar will show you the conditions here over just to the east of us. You can kind of pick it out over toward Columbus and down toward Cincinnati. This is where that real gap is right now. You can see that sleet and freezing rain close to the middle of the state, all rain, just plain old rain, where it's warm enough a little bit farther down around Cincinnati. For us, though, we still have occasional sprinkles. We'll call it a freezing drizzle, especially down around Warsaw and Fort Wayne. A little bit more likely to see it there than up in South Bend, where we're in kind of a dry slot right now. So as we take a look at the impact from this First Alert weather day this morning, we're kind of in the dry gap, as I mentioned, so we're not seeing as much actual precipitation. We did have 2.5 inches of snow overnight recorded here at WNDU, but that's kind of shut off. Now you're seeing the freezing drizzle as our temperature is still below 32, but you've got that fog out there. So glaze ice, a dusting of snow still possible in some places, but very slick road spots out there. The fog will probably get worse as we get into the afternoon, with our temperature going up above 32 for a while. So the roads will mainly be wet. And then for tonight, we're looking at that wintry mix returning, a little bit of ice coming through, and then snow on top of that as we get the lake effect machine cranked up. 1 to 2 inches of snow here in the South Bend area, a lot more than that a little bit farther north up along the lakeshore. So you can see that here on Future Track as we just have kind of scattered precipitation, a lot of drizzle, things like that as we go through the early going. But that fog really starts to develop as our temperatures warm up above freezing heading into the afternoon today. And then by later this evening, we start to see that band of ice coming through as our temperatures start to drop below freezing once again. This is a cold front moving through, so you can kind of see that as the snow comes in later on tonight, overnight tonight into tomorrow. We get rid of the system snow, and then you can see that familiar lake effect finger of snow coming down as that wind really picks up, 20 to 30 mile-an-hour gusts, and that will chase that lake effect snow from northwest to southeast, down through Berrien and Cass County, and all the way down into the state of Indiana. Now, the snow totals are likely to be heavier closer to the lake, and so at least for today, our roads are pretty slick out there this morning because of the snow and the ice that we had overnight, maybe a little bit of ice fog out there. As we move toward lunchtime, it's mostly just wet, and we poke our heads up above freezing, so we'll see that fog settle in, wet roads this afternoon, but by this evening, everything starts to refreeze as that cold front comes in, and we start to see some lake effect snow on top of it. This is the lake effect snow that we're looking at for tonight through all the way through tomorrow night, and once it gets cranked up, again, in that typical lake effect area, we could see 4 to 8 inches of snow north of the state line and over toward the lakeshore. For the rest of us in South Bend, Elkhart, Goshen, really about 2 to 4 inches possible, and a little bit south of that, probably just a coating of snow. As we take a look at our 10-day forecast, the thing that stands out are the 3 red days on the left there. First alert weather days today, mostly because of those icy conditions and ice fog. Tomorrow, because the temperature drops, we start to get that lake effect snow, and Monday, just brutally cold temperatures. temperatures, 25 degrees below normal for this time of year. A high of only 10, lows in the single digits, and we're talking about wind chills well below zero. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably into Thursday and Friday. It's going to be a very cold week before we get some relief next weekend. Yep, definitely a first alert weather weekend, and I'm guessing once we thought, or maybe I just thought spring was a little bit closer, clearly all the snow from we thought we were going to have December and January just decided to pile itself over the next couple of days. In poetry, there's a line that says April is the cruelest month. I would take issue with that and say February. It's the shortest month on the calendar. It feels like the longest mentally. Definitely. And we still got more news to get to here on 16 News Now.